So today I am going to talk to you about a very useful way that you can improve your grammar skills. That's coming up. Welcome to today's lesson. My name is Wes. This is Interactive English, which is the place that you want to be if you are looking to practice and improve your English skills. And today I'm going to talk to you about ways that you can improve your grammar. And this is relevant if you are a beginner learner of English, and it is relevant if you are advanced in your English skills. This is very useful, and what I want to talk to you about is this. We're going to discuss subject and verb agreement. Now, the reason this is useful for everyone is because, we use this all the time if we are speaking and we are writing. You have a subject, you have a verb, and they must agree with each other. It is very, very, very important. Now, before we jump into this lesson, I'd like to hear from all of you guys. I'd like you to write your name in the chat, in the comments. Tell me where you're from. I just love hearing from all of you. Welcome, Giselle, Amano, Lata, Yulisa, Farhat, Valentina. Excellent. Glad to have you guys with me today, and let's just get right into it. We're talking about subject and verb agreement. So we're going to start out a little simple, and then we're going to get a little more difficult because this is not just a simple subject, okay? This is something that can be very easy. It can also be very difficult. And I'm going to scatter some tips in there, and then at the end, we are going to practice what we've learned today, so I hope you guys are ready. So let's just start out with basic subject-verb agreement. Now, subject-verb agreement, if we have one subject or one pronoun, then we are talking about using a singular verb. So for example, when you think of one subject, when you think of one pronoun, think of he, she, it. And if the verb is go, he goes, she goes, it goes. Goes would be our singular verb. All right? Now, if we're talking about a subject that is two or more nouns or pronouns, then we're going to use a plural verb. And when I think of two or more subjects, think of like we or they. We go, they go. So go, in the present simple, that would be our plural verb. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, oh, okay, I know this. This is easy. I promise you, it is going to get a little trickier because, again, when it comes to subjects and verbs, it can get a little confusing sometimes. So let's talk about, I'm going to go show you some of the different ways in which we use subject and verb agreement. And then, like I said, we are going to practice. So let's start by looking at this right here, which is connected nouns or pronouns. Now, for subjects of two or more nouns and pronouns connected by and, you need to use the plural verb. And this is simple. This is because you have one subject and another subject. That's two or more. So, for example, I have some example sentences here for you guys. Wes and Joanna are awesome English teachers. Yes, Wes is a subject and Joanna another subject. So we're going to use the plural form are. Wes and Joanna are awesome English teachers. We are also very modest too. So the next sentence, dogs and cats are great pets. We have different subjects connected by and we use the plural form. Easy enough. Let's continue. Now, for subjects of two or more singular nouns or pronouns connected by or nor, use the singular verb. Okay, so here is another example sentence for you guys. Wes or Joanna teaches the live lesson. So each week, Wes or Joanna teaches the live lesson. Not both of us. We're talking about Wes, a singular subject, Joanna, a singular subject. So we're going to use a singular verb, or. And it's the same with nor. Now, the one thing I want to tell you about or and nor is that to me, it sometimes is a little awkward when you have this as the subject, like Wes or you wanna. Many times it's used with an indefinite pronoun, either or neither. Okay, so you would say like either Wes or Joanna. Neither Wes nor Joanna. We are going to talk about those indefinite pronouns a little later, but I think that's a little more common if you are writing or if you are speaking English. But keep this in mind, okay? If you have a singular noun or pronoun and we're using or nor, it's going to be a singular verb, okay? Let's look at compound subjects. So a compound subject is talking about, you have different subjects. One of the subjects might be singular, one of the subjects might be plural. So when both a singular and plural noun or pronoun are joined by or nor, the verb should agree with the subject that is nearer to the verb. I'm going to say that again because this is when it can get tricky and more advanced and more difficult. The verb should agree with the subject that is nearer the verb. So here are two sentences that I've given you, and all I've done is I've switched the subjects, the single subject and the plural subject, and it makes it a compound subject. So I could say, and both of them are grammatically correct. Wes nor the students play video games, okay? Wes nor the students, okay? That's my compound subject. Wes is singular, the students is a plural subject. The students is closer to the verb. So I'm going to say the students play, nor the students play. We're going to use, in that case, a plural verb. Now, we can switch that around, like this sentence right here, and say the students nor Wes plays video games. The students nor Wes plays video games. In this sentence, Wes, me, I'm closer to the verb, so it's going to be, we're going to use a singular verb. Wes plays, okay? The students nor Wes plays. And this is true even if you add those indefinite pronouns before. It's still the same. Neither Wes nor the students play video games. Neither the students nor Wes, neither Wes nor the students play video games. I think I may have misspoken. Or neither the students nor Wes plays video games. Okay, it doesn't matter. The verb should agree with the subject that is nearer, with the subject that is closest. Now, this is where it can get confusing, but I want to also clear things up a little bit because I think it's useful if you are writing or even if you're speaking and you're using or nor and you have a compound subject. I think it's easier to just put the plural subject at the end. Put the plural subject second. Make that one closest to the verb. And I think it just sounds more natural and you're gonna just, you will eliminate some awkwardness if you are writing or even if you're speaking, if you just go ahead and put the plural subject closest to the verb. Because when we're talking about compound, you're using or nor, you're listing different subjects. And I think the mind, when you have multiple subjects, it automatically wants to gravitate towards a plural verb. So I think just to eliminate awkwardness, go ahead and put the plural nearest to the verb. I think that is perfectly fine, okay? Now, let's continue talking about compound subjects. This can also be tricky, okay? When it describes a single person or thing, use a singular verb. So sometimes when we're talking about compound subjects, we're still talking about one thing or one person. And in this case, you want to use the singular verb. These are two perfect examples. So spaghetti and meatballs. When you think of spaghetti and meatballs, most people don't think of them as separate things. You think of it as one meal, one dish. Spaghetti and meatballs is my favorite meal. Okay, spaghetti and meatballs, that's our compound subject. Now, here's another one, and this one I'm talking about one person, all right? My beautiful wife and my best friend. This is Joanna. My beautiful wife and my beautiful wife and best friend loves to travel. So this here, I know this can be a little challenging because maybe you don't know the context, but I'm telling you, I'm talking about the same person. And if I'm talking about the same person, then we're going to use the singular verb. My beautiful wife and best friend loves to travel. Now, if your beautiful wife and best friend are two different people, then that changes the verb. Then you would use a plural verb. But in this case, I'm talking about Joanna, my beautiful wife and best friend. Okay, so let's quickly look at a tip. All right, a subject and verb tip that I think is useful and very relevant to you guys. And that tip is keep subject-verb agreement in mind when you are speaking. So when I say this, I don't mean that when you're having a conversation, you're probably not going to stop and think, okay, here's my subject, here's my verb, am I saying it correctly, all right? What I say keep it in mind is that these are the times when people make simple mistakes with subject-verb agreement. Even advanced learners, I will hear them say something just in conversation and they'd be like, oh, he go or she do. And I know what they're trying to say. It doesn't impede my understanding of what they want to say, but I still understand that as like, okay, that's a small mistake. So you need to keep that in mind because this is when people, again, when speaking and they're going fast and you don't have time to stop and reflect on the grammar that you're using, they make some common simple mistakes. And the best way to eliminate those mistakes is, again, just to practice, practice, and practice, and expose yourself to the language. And the more you expose yourself to the language and you hear or you read the grammar being used correctly, then you will start using that grammar correctly than when you are producing the language in speaking and writing. All right? So, again, if you're just joining us, we are talking about subject-verb agreement, and I'm going over some of the different ways in which we use subject-verb agreement. So let's continue. Next, I want to talk about this right here, which is information that is between the subject and the verb. So you could have a phrase or clause, most likely an adjective, phrase, or clause, between the subject and verb, but that does not change the number of the subject. It doesn't matter, all right? The subject and verb must agree. Doesn't matter what comes in between them. So Wes, who loves to eat cookies, all right, that's true, needs to cut back on the sweets, okay? So here is information between the subject Wes and the verb needs, but it doesn't change the number. It's still a singular subject, so we're going to use the singular verb needs. Now, let's look at what I mentioned before, which is singular indefinite pronouns. And again, this is when it can get a little trickier, and this is where we just need more practice and practice and practice, because these singular indefinite pronouns right here will take singular verbs. Each, either, neither, no one, anybody, anyone, something, someone, everyone, everything. There are more of these. I just didn't include all of them because I didn't want to clutter up the screen. But singular indefinite pronouns, they take on a singular verb. So here's my example sentence. We hope that everyone hits the thumbs up button, all right, if you know subject and verb agreement. So even right now, if you are watching this, I want you to hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button. If you understand subject-verb agreement, and this is easy to follow, because I hope this is easy for you to follow and understand, and that's going to help you in the future, because like I said, subject-verb agreement is a lot. It's not just a small, simple subject. There's a lot of information, and it's always good to practice and practice and practice. So please hit that like button so I know that, okay, you guys are following what I'm saying. You understand the information. So singular indefinite pronouns, they take that singular verb. Now, if we're talking about plural indefinite pronouns, then they take a plural verb. And here are some of the most common ones right here. So several, few, both, many. If you just use these words as your pronoun, they are going to take a plural verb. Perfect example sentence, which is something you might hear in movies or on TV. Many have tried and few have succeeded. Now, all I have right there is the pronoun many. I don't know. You can assume it's talking about people, but you don't have to say that. Many people have tried and few people have succeeded. So when we use those plural pronouns, many, few, we're going to use the plural verb, have. Okay? Many have, few have. And I just love that picture down there. I don't know why, I just thought it was very funny. Okay? So now let's talk about some indefinite pronouns that can be either plural or singular. And again, this is where it gets a little more advanced because some of these pronouns, like these 5 right here, depending on how they're used, they may be singular or they may be plural. So we have 5 of them: some, any, none, all, most. Often when you see these, it's going to be followed by of. Some of, none of, most of, And then that's going to help us determine whether we're going to use a singular verb or a plural verb. Because if what follows, all right, if it's uncountable, then we are going to use a singular verb. If it's followed by a countable noun, then we're going to use a plural verb. So here are some examples for you. And I just said, some of the water is on the table. Okay, some of the water. Water is uncountable, so I use the singular verb is. Some of the plates are on the table. Plates are countable, so we're going to use the plural verb are. All right, so this is another time where it gets a little tricky and you just have to be aware that, okay, is the noun uncountable or is it countable? So let's look at tip number 2. The next tip I want to tell you is if you're looking at this, if you're watching this saying, well, what is the best way to improve subject-verb agreement, then I would tell you this right here. Read, read, and read some more. Reading is so important when it comes to improving your grammar skills because you are actually seeing the correct grammar. You are seeing it used correctly, all right? And that is so important. So I would always encourage you that if you are looking to improve your grammar skills, especially subject-verb agreement, read. Because even like they say, I'll tell you something in marketing, they say that people need to see something over 10 times before it starts influencing the way they think. And I think that's the same with language. If you study a grammar concept or you study subject-verb once, you might think, oh, I understand this. But that doesn't mean that you're going to remember it. So if you read, if you expose yourself to the language and you see how the grammar is used correctly, if you're talking about these indefinite pronouns, if you're talking about the singular pronouns, the plural pronouns, the information is going to start seeping in your brain, and then the next time you are having a conversation or the next time you are writing an email, you'll just start using it correctly. So read, read, and read some more. Now, let's continue and talk about some other ways that we can use subject-verb agreement, and then we're going to practice, all right? So let's talk about this right here, which are inverted subjects. So if we're talking about inverted subjects, we're starting the sentence with there. Or sometimes if we're using a question, you might say how many or how much. And the reason I say it's inverted is because in this case, the verb comes before the subject. all right? But the verb must still, the subject must agree with the verb. So let's look at, and I just love that picture. So I could say, there is a kitten at the door, all right? And we're using there. When we use there, it's just basically saying something exists. So there is a kitten at the door. Kitten is singular. It's a singular subject, so we're going to use the singular verb is a kitten. Now, if there's more than one, I could say, there are cats at the door. Cats, plural, so we use the plural verb are, okay? So in this case, nothing changes. You just need to be aware that the singular subjects go with singular nouns, plural subjects go with plural nouns. Let's look at collective nouns. So these are nouns that imply more than one person, but it takes a singular verb. And these aren't all of them. These are just some. There are more collective nouns. But if I'm talking about the noun group, okay, just the meaning of the word group, you think of it's talking about more than one. However, group is a collective noun that takes on a singular verb. Group, jury, crowd, team, okay? If we can still make these collective nouns plural by adding an S. And so if we said groups, then we'd have a plural verb, okay? But just that collective noun group, it's going to take on the singular verb. And I gave that example sentence, the team plays in the World Cup. So I'm talking about team, that is a collective noun, even though the team, it consists of maybe many different people. But in this case, we're going to use the singular verb. The team plays in the World Cup. And I imagine some of you right now are out there watching the World Cup and cheering for your team. And I don't even want to talk about the U.S. and their World Cup. Very disappointed. Not in it, obviously. But let's move on. So the next one I want to talk to you about is when we are using number of. Okay, so if we say, with the number of, we're going to use a singular verb. And here's my example sentence. The number of people has greatly decreased. So remember, keep in mind, the number of, singular verb, has. That is different if I say this with a number of, use the plural verb. A number of people have smartphones. So this is a great example of what, the number of people has greatly decreased, singular verb. A number of people have smartphones. That's the plural verb. So this is just something, again, a rule to remember when you're trying to use subject and verb agreement, okay? So again, I told you, these are just some of the ways in which we use subject-verb agreement. There are other ways in which we do this. So right now, I want to practice, all right? We're going to put your skills to the test, and I want to practice what we've learned, okay? So here is my first question, and I want you to write the answer in the chat or write the answer in the comments. Even if you're watching this lesson later on, I want you to use the comment section as like your piece of paper. Write the answers, all of them, and then you can hit comment at the end. So that way I know that you were participating, that you were interacting with the lesson. So here's the first question right here. Everybody, to answer this question, okay? I gave you the verb, to need. I gave you the infinitive form of the verb, and I want you to write, are we going to use the singular verb or the plural verb? Everybody, to answer this question. What do you guys think? All right. I see a lot of great answers in there. So yes, we would say, uh-oh. All right. My slide answer. I had chosen the wrong one. Let me change this real quick. So again, if we're talking about this one, ta-da! Here we go. Everybody needs to answer this question. All right, I had the wrong slide up there before. So this is a singular indefinite pronoun, everybody, so it takes on the singular verb, needs. Everybody needs to answer this question. Next, all right, there, a group of people in the elevator. There, a group of people in the elevator. All right. So this is we're talking about an inverted subject. So what do you think? Again, all right. There, a group of people in the elevator. All right. I'm starting a little easier, and then it's going to get a little more difficult. Okay, a little more difficult. So, all right. There, a group of people in the elevator. I think most of you got this. Again, it's an inverted subject, but we're also talking about that collective noun. Inverted subject with a singular collective noun group. There is a group of people in the elevator. And again, we can take you could take people out of there. You might not even need it. There is a group in the elevator. All right? There is a group of people in the elevator. Group is a singular collective noun, so we're going to use is. The next question I have for you is this one. Peanut butter and jelly, the best. Peanut butter and jelly, the best. Now, this is, I'm going to give you a hint. I want you to use that picture. Keep that picture in mind when you are answering this question, okay? This is kind of a cultural question as well, because this right here is a very American thing. So how would you say that? Peanut butter and jelly, the best. Keep that picture in mind when you are answering this question, all right? So I think this one could be a little confusing. I wanted to give you that hint, all right, about keep that picture in mind, because the reason I told you that is because I'm trying to talk about a compound subject, peanut butter and jelly, that's describing a singular thing, all right? In America, it's a very American thing. We talk about peanut butter and jelly. Sometimes people will shorten it and say PB&J, all right? You'd say PB&J is the best, all right? It is a singular thing like spaghetti and meatballs. Many of you may not know that because, again, this is a very American thing. A peanut butter and jelly sandwich is what it's talking about, a sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly is the best because usually we don't just eat peanut butter and jelly separate. It's together. It's on a sandwich, all right? Next question, okay, is this one right here. The number of changes to the law, staggering. The number of changes to the law, staggering. Okay? What do you guys think? The number of changes to the law, staggering. We just talked about that at the end. Remember that rule? We said the number of versus a number of. So hopefully you told me if you said, remember, the number of goes with a singular verb. The number of changes to the law is staggering. The number of changes is staggering, okay? So again, this is excellent practice for you guys. And that is the best way when you are practicing and learning subject-verb agreement as well as any other grammar application. And I think these lessons are very useful because they're a bit longer and we can go into a little more detail when we're talking about certain subjects like this, subject-verb agreement. Now, I have a question for all of you, and that is, what do you think is most difficult when it comes to English grammar? I want you guys to write that in the comments, okay? Write to us in the comments. We want to hear from you. What do you think is most difficult when it comes to English grammar? Because maybe we'll make a lesson about it in the future, all right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I hope that you found it useful. If you did, please hit that like button. Please share this video with others that are learning and want to practice and improve their English skills. And again, if there are other questions that you have, please write those in the comments. And as always, be sure to join our social media classes. So thank you so much, Yulissa, Amano, Rosa, Helena, Bassam. It's great to have you guys. I'm happy you joined us. Giselle, thank you, Robson, for joining us. I hope that you found this lesson useful. And as always, we will be back next Saturday for another awesome live lesson. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye.